Hello, and welcome to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the injury market's top program for doctors, lawyers, and insurers who want to gain greater insight on how to improve patient recovery results and deliver better services in the U.S. injury market. Please welcome your host, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Kronk.
Okay, doctors, what I want to talk about today is dominating your local injury market instead of competing in it. And there's actually a really big difference between what I'm saying here. So, there's this idea that you're competing against others, and you set up and you look at your injury clinic and you start to go, oh my gosh, there's so many chiropractors around here, and there's so many medical centers around here, and there's so many orthopedists around here, and there's so many people vying for these injury patients, and on and on and on and on and on. And I hear it all the time, right? And you get the idea that you're competing in your local market. If I were to drop an injury center into any place, a chiropractic center into any place, I'm not gonna think about the competition, right? Now I might notice them, I might look at them, I might see their building, I might see various things that they're doing. I'm not saying that, but what I'm going to do is I am going to be the number one chiropractic and trauma center in my area, bar none. I'm not going to compete with anybody. I'm going to dominate the market. I saw this quote by John D. Rockefeller, and he said, competition's a sin. And, there's parts of me that go, wow, I kind of agree with that. It depends on how you're looking at it. But if you're just trying to compete, hey, I just want to compete, that's a loser's game. I mean, no NFL Super Bowl winner goes, hey, I just want to compete. I just want to be competitive. No, they're setting out to dominate the other teams. They're setting out to be better than anybody else. And it's actually a mindset. It's a mindset when you start to think about it, because what it forces you to do is it forces you to have a product or a service in the market that is significantly better, that sets the bar. In the injury market, setting the bar is pretty easy because the injury market is pretty much the blind leading the blind. It doesn't look that way. It has all this great look, a lot of money. People are driving around in great cars, have great houses, attorneys that are wealthy. It has all this appearance in it. But if you break down the injury market itself, especially in the spinal injury market, it's the blind leading the blind. The majority of people in the market today think that disc herniation is the biggest thing that they need to look at. And it is a component part of the spinal injury, but it's certainly not the biggest injury that anybody needs to look at. You need to look at the full spine injury. Did they break it? Are the non-disc ligaments, which are far more non-disc ligaments than there are disc ligaments, are the non-disc ligaments damaged? They generate the majority of the symptoms. Surgical corrections for these injuries are much more significant than they are for disc herniations. And the market is pretty much, like I said, it's the blind leading the blind. You have doctors chasing all over the place for attorney and attorney referrals, and the attorneys are chasing all over the market trying to get the patients and drive the patients to doctors. And often, sometimes, they're even dictating what that doctor should do, what doctors they should use. I mean, it's a mess. The market is an absolute mess. And what rolls out at the end of the day out of this market are patients that have they have chronic pain. They have chronic spine pain. That's why chronic pain to the spine is first, fourth, and sixth leading cause of chronic pain and disability today. And so I already know that coming into the game. So when I come into the game, I know in my market, I got lots of chronic pain patients that have already seen chiropractors. They've already seen other providers. They're still in chronic pain, and that's because nobody's diagnosed the condition that they have properly. If you can't diagnose the condition properly and you don't understand what it is, you're not going to fix it. And if it's something that the person has that requires ongoing care, but you haven't adequately explained it to the patient's still running around trying to figure out what to do. You have attorneys that don't study the condition in the personal injury market, the legal community in that sphere of law do not study generally the condition that they represent. So they're the blindest of the blind in the market usually, are the attorneys, and they are very blind when it comes to spinal injuries. Again, they think everything's the disc. So if I come into a market I'm going to dominate that market because I understand the injuries. I understand the injuries. I'm way above where's the competition? Like if I were to send a injury patient into 10 different chiropractic centers, they're going to get 10 different ideas, 10 different workups, 10 different understandings. And I know that. So it's child's play. That is not my competition. I know how to do a standard spinal injury workup. I know there's only two tissues that need to be looked at. I know there's only 3 derangement patterns that need to be looked at. I know what the consensus says about this stuff, and I am really good at treating this. And I'm really good at documenting this so I can navigate the medical legal aspect of things so that when I'm sitting in deposition, they're easy. When I'm sitting in trial, they're easy. Because I don't have any allegiance. I don't have any allegiance to personal injury attorneys. I don't have any allegiance to defense attorneys. I don't have any allegiance to the insurer. I don't have any allegiance to the patient. I have allegiance to good clinical competency. That's what I have allegiance to. And that's what's going to set me apart. So, when you're looking at this, you don't want to go in and compete with the market. There's these ideas, hey, competition is good. Yeah, okay, I get it. Or average is acceptable. Or you got to be setting reasonable goals. Don't rock the boat. These things are poison. So, you have to change the way you're thinking about things. You have to change the way you're thinking about things. And even I look back and I think, okay, just teaching this today helps me, right? Helps me to make sure I'm looking at it that way. Make sure I'm in line with what I'm just saying here. So, the biggest thing when you are in the injury space, one, if you understand the injuries and know how to work them up, and you're not afraid to work them up, and you're working them up professionally, you're not actually going, okay, gosh, I'm going to work up an excessive motion study, and I'm going to do it myself because I don't want to send out, or I don't want to, I want this unprofessional look to it. By it's just a chiropractic thing because I'm doing this excessive motion test. Right? It'd be no different than if you just said, hey, I'm a chiropractor. You know what? What I want to do is put a magnet in the back of my clinic and I'm reading all the MRIs. I'm going to do the MRI reads because I don't want to send out for an MRI center and Jesus, it costs this much amount of money for an MRI. And then for the person to read it, it costs this money. I got to save all that money. That does not, that does not make you look good. That does not make you look good at all. So you have to be willing to, if I'm going to be dominating, guess what? I want the most dominant surgeon on my team. I want the most dominant, cut above all else pain management person I can find, the most dominant medical doctor, the most dominant physical therapist. Whatever I don't have, I want to be aligned with those that are just dominating in their own sphere. And I want to be in line with those people. And that's how I want to look at it, doctors. If you're not looking at it that way right now, then just in this podcast, I want you to look at it that way. I want you to start to go, hey, if you're going to do something, why be average at it? And why be competitive at it? Why not dominate it? Why not be the best that there is in your area? Because that's what people get attracted to. That's what attorneys get attracted to. That's what other doctors get attracted to. That's what patients get attracted to. That's what staff gets attracted to. It really is. So, one of the things is just having that domination mindset. And that domination mindset is stop competing. The biggest person that you're competing with every single day, it's true for me, it's true for you, is the person that you wake up to and you look at in the morning when you're in the mirror. That's who you're competing with. You want to compete with somebody, and even that, dominate that. Dominate whatever your shortcomings are. Dominate that face that's in the mirror even. Right? But stop competing. This idea of looking at your competition or looking at how you're competing. Start thinking about being that dominating force. Start thinking about being the place that your highest level of local citizen would go to. This is the place that they would want to go to. Why? Great results, great understanding of the injuries, and great documentation so that it's fairly easy. Everybody that's helping with the benefit adjudication and things like that has an easier time of it. And that's really what I mean when I say stop competing and start dominating. But it's a mindset thing. You got to first start to think of it with your, again, it starts all in your own head. So that is all I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully that resonates with some of you. Start thinking about, okay, if you're sitting there and you're looking and you're thinking, okay, gosh, look what this person does, or look at what these people do, or how am I going to bust into these relationships? You're thinking in it with a competitive mindset. Stop thinking that way. Start thinking about, I am the best. I need to communicate out to this market and start being the best. But it all starts with a mindset. So hopefully this one gave you just a little bit of something to think about. Doctors, if you're interested in our program, you go out to www.smartinjurydoctors.com. You can call us at 800-940-6513. We have some free resources. If you go to our Facebook free group, Smart Injury Doctors Practice Building Success Network, we'll let you into that site. We give you more information. Align with those that are dominating their space. Align with it, and because it'll give you the energy at first that you might need. So, doctors, hopefully this has helped. I very much so appreciate your time and your attention and what you're doing, and I hope this has helped you in some way. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the #1 audio production show for professionals in the U.S. injury market that want to deliver better injury services to the patients, clients, or insureds they serve. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review and don't forget to join us on our next program.